What's up guys, it's Nolan here with Oakos Automotive, back with another install video for the all-new VB WRX. Today we're doing this, an IAG air oil separator. Nice AOS assembly there. Our pre-cut assembled hoses here. It's all good stuff. This is a neat piece. That's a type of specialized like OEM fastener to the car. So that's an important piece to have there. Another one kind of similar, same kind of quick connect with the, this one has a clip style, so it's a little different, but same kind of concept. Nice bracket, laser cut. More kind of OEM specialized quick attachment here to a barb fitting. It's pretty cool. It's an adapter. Can't go wrong with zip ties. There's some bolts. Psst. Don't forget stickers. You need stickers. But the most interesting part of all of this is the AOS itself. We went with the Wrinkle black for this car. Has the cooling lines pre-installed with these nice swivel fittings. Pretty standard if you've been around the Subaru AOS stuff for a while. You've probably seen hundreds of these. All right, so before we get to actually like installing any of the hoses or anything, we have to take some stuff apart to make some room. It's not anything super major, luckily. It's basically just the top mount, this intake snorkel here, and then the charge pipe down to the turbo. So we're gonna get all that stuff out of the way and then move on to actually installing the parts of the AOS. First hose here you kind of get into with the more detailed part of what we need to remove to bypass stuff into the AOS is this connector here. This is kind of sealed off or one-time use or whatever you want to call it from the factory. So basically it's another one of those quick connect fittings, but it has a molded piece of plastic over it so you can't do anything. Best solution I could come up with is essentially just cutting it with a grinder and a cutoff wheel. Subaru tells you to use side cutters, but they don't really fit in there in any meaningful way. So the best I could come up with was just this, just kind of in there like that. Yeah, so basically it was just making a small slit on the one side there, and that kind of deforms it enough that you can get in from another side with a small pry bar and just kind of smack on it and it'll break, and then you can take your hose off. With this end of the hose off, we just move on to the other side of it, which goes down to the turbo inlet in here. And that one is a little more straightforward. It's just the same kind of clip here and then it pulls off. All right, now we're moving on to the back side of the intake manifold, and we're just gonna get this large crankcase hose here. So it's this clamp off of the intake, like that, and then we're gonna take some long needle nose. We gotta get the clamp down in there. Okay, so with that hose off, we now have to remove the like block PCV fitting, that big guy down there. You do need a 27 mil socket for that, so pretty large. I don't imagine a lot of people have that just sitting around, so something to keep in mind. Basically, that's just gonna slip over there. Put a very long extension on it, like that. Massively overkill ratchet for this, of course, but it's what I have handy. Could be it. With this guy removed, we have our replacement piece. Believe it or not, that is the same thread to do the same job. I don't know why they insisted on having such a massive fitting for that, but there you go. So we're replacing that with something a little more reasonable, and that's just gonna thread into the block where this came out. The replacement fitting is just a 19 mil, so deep 19, a little more reasonable. That just kind of slides on there, and do some threading. That's good. Okay, so here's the hose that goes on that fitting we just installed. It's basically just the Y piece to a chunkier hose here. Something to note, one of the Y pieces is shorter than the other, ever so slightly. So you're gonna wanna face that end towards the firewall. Basically, it's gonna install like this guy. Now we're gonna come back around to the front of the intake manifold here. This is gonna go onto the port that we cut the connector off with. So it's basically the longer of the two hoses with the 45-degree connectors on them. This one's gonna route along here. Something like that. Top of the pitch stop though. And that's gonna connect to the AOS there. Take that, just shove her on. Okay, get our 27 mil again, 19 mil wrench on the fitting, and then just give it a couple turns. Nothing crazy, that's good. So we got this larger hose that came off the intake manifold. That's gonna go onto here just to kind of get it set up the way we need. We will put that on like so. That's what it's gonna look like. Now over on the car, we'll basically fish this, feed this through like that. Put that back on the manifold. All right, with the hoses all pretty much done, we're now gonna do the bracket onto the AOS itself. Pretty straightforward here. You just take bracket and these bolts here. And the goal is to have just the top threads still exposed. So then we're gonna take our two nuts off of the strut mount here on the passenger side. The bracket just slides over those two. These are 14s. Just kind of come off like that. Just do that. the AOS assembly now attached to the car, we are tasked with connecting the pre-installed coolant lines. For these, we're going to tap into the circuit that is for the throttle body here. So it's just this hose. Pull this clamp off here. Put a hose squeezer on that. And basically, I'll just be ready with this hose here. You got one with a 90 and one without. The one without is going on the throttle body. We'll just take a rag, kind of put it under there to catch the most that we can. All right, so we will pull this guy off. Oh, neat. Not much came out. Love to see it. Put that one on, and then we'll take our 90 here, like so. Take those guys off. Now we got a little zip tie action. Every good install needs that, of course. One there. Okay, now all our hard work is pretty much gonna pay off. We have all the hoses in the location that they need to be. It's pretty much just as easy as connecting everything. So our shorter end of our Y fitting here, that's actually the drain back into the block. That's gonna go on our bottom port right there. Get the clamp oriented properly. The longer end of that is gonna follow along our coolant lines, go to the bottom of the two side ports, like so. And then for our next side port here, we're taking this long hose that comes from the front of the block and follows all the way along. Again, just kind of following the path of everything else here and connecting it like so. Last one we have in place here is going to be the smaller hose that goes from our large hose that retained the PCV or the OEM PCV valve. So just take that and connect it on the top like so. After getting all our hoses here kind of situated and all zip tied, looking pretty good, happy with how that turned out. We just have one left to do, and it's the return hose or the suction hose down on the turbo inlet. So we're gonna take our large adapter here. So that basically is just gonna go down and shove onto there. Nice click, make sure it's secure, of course. And then, this is the other 45-degree fitting, the shorter hose. The longer one is here. A little bit different connector, but same kind of idea. And basically that's just gonna go down onto that. And again, shove until you hear it click. And then just kind of route this along this hose up to here. And eventually that will make its way to there once we get everything bolted back together. Now we're back into reassembly with that hose in place, so we'll do the charge pipe first. Luckily, these are a lot easier to install than remove. You just push until it clicks. Nice feature of these new couplers. Put our bolt in there. Take our top mount. It's unfortunately a little bit of a tighter fit now with the AOS in place. But with some finagling, does of course make its way where it needs to be. So part of putting the top mount back on is this P-clip for the hose here. So you just slide that over there. Once you get it on, squeeze it down, make it a little easier to get everything lined up, and then it'll just thread in like so. Actually connect this now. Something like that. Make sure last piece, get that on there. So that's the install wrapped up on our end. All we really have left to do is start the car up, make sure nothing's leaking, you know, nothing's making weird noises. And then we also have to crack open the bleeder screw on the AOS and just let the air out of that system. So we'll do that real quick, and then that will be job done. All right, well that is a job done on this IAG air oil separator install on the new WRX here. Arguably one of the most important aftermarket upgrades that you can do really just to any turbo Subaru or any turbo car. Just keeping that oil out of places like the charge pipe, intercooler, and manifold. You know, that's gonna lower your octane rating and generally just decrease performance. And also on these direct injection cars, you gotta worry about your intake valves gumming up over time. You don't have that fuel in the intake manifold, cleaning it off. So long term, this is gonna help with that as well. Overall, nice clean install. You really don't notice that it's there other than the can up here looking nice. Good to see the fitment there looks good. That's going to be a wrap on this video. We've got some more installs coming here in the near future, so keep an eye out for those. Please drop some comments down below. Tell us what you thought of the car, the install, what we did right, what we did wrong. We'd love to hear all about it, and we'll see you in the next video.